let's talk about how to start or open, how to write the opening paragraph. Generally, as you know, your teachers might have told you that there is a statement which is given in the beginning only with the graph, and you are supposed to rephrase the statement, because if you write the exact statement, then those words are not going to be counted, or you will not get the credit for that. Yes, of course, you can rephrase the statement, or you should rephrase the statements, and the words which you can use initially, rephrase the statement, and then the words, for example, you can start it the given graph. If it is a graph, now it is a graph, for example, in this case it is a line graph, you can use graph. So the given graph, and if it is a table or it is a diagram. Now if it is in the statement, it is mentioned shows, then you can say reveals, you can change it to reveals or depicts or tells or illustrates or demonstrates, depending, and you can simply explain accordingly. Like in this situation, what you can do is that if you see, now this is telling us the production of rice from 1980 to 2008, you can write the opening statement like or paragraph like this. The given graph tells us about the production of rice from 1980 to 2008, and the data was calibrated in million tons. The data is given in million tons, so we are using the data was calibrated in million tons. So this is the opening statement for this particular paragraph. And now talking about the body, you can start the body in n number of ways. There is no fixed statement for that, but yes, I have given two statements which can help you. You can start the body like it is evident from the graph, or to begin with, like it can be seen, for example, in this particular graph, you can say that for the body, you can say it is evident from the graph that in between 1980 to 86 there was a gradual incline in production. Right, this is how you can start. Another way you can start that, to begin with, it can be seen that there was a gradual incline in production in between 1980 to 86. If the data is given in let's say past, so better we use the past tense and past indefinite specifically, and the was, of course, as it is used for the data if it is given in the past. Now we have written the opening paragraph, we have started the body, and you have to explain the body as I have explained you earlier. And another important things which are supposed to be kept in mind are, let's say for example, now this is the graph. We explained that from 1980 till 86 there was a gradual incline in production. Now we are moving from this point, after 86 we are moving from one change to another. So we can use the word to join these two lines. Thereafter the production remained constant for the next 4 years. Now then after that, here you can say after 1990, after 1990 a sharp incline was seen in the production, and the production jumped from 20 million ton to, let's say, approximately 90 million ton within this period, that is from 90 to 96. Or you can simply deduct, since it is 90 million ton and it is 20, there was an increase of 70 million ton within this period. All right, so this is better if you use this thing, but you do these kind of subtractions only if you have sufficient time or the data is simple to subtract. Right, since because we have a time limit also, we have basically word limit also, we have to focus both. I hope you know that the word limit is 150, but I recommend that you must write around 170 to 180 words, and because we don't have any penalty for writing more than 150, but if it falls short, then definitely there is a penalty. So please be very careful about the number of words while you are writing this particular paragraph. And my suggestion is that while you are writing, before writing conclusion, you must count the words. Again, I am saying before writing the conclusion. So in that particular case, what you can do is that if the words are really less, you can add some words to the body. But once you have written the conclusion and you see the words are less, then you will have to erase the conclusion, because conclusion cannot be more than 1 or 2 lines in case of graph. It cannot be, let's say, 7-8 lines. So that would look odd, right? So let's say we move further. I told you from one change to another change you can use. Thereafter you can use. After that, another phrases or lines which you can use from one change to another is in the next n number of years, in the following n number of years, in the coming n number of years. Like for example, after this we have used in the coming or the following 90 to 96. We can explain that the following after 1990, the following 6 years observed a significant incline in the production of rice. It jumped from 20 million ton to 90 million ton within this period and touched its highest level in the year 1996. So this is how we can explain this particular thing. And after that, yes, one more thing which we are supposed to which is very important in this, that is of course the period part. For example, means we are explaining this particular section, there was a gradual incline in between 1980 to 86. Then again we used, it remained constant in between 86 to 90. Then again we used, there was a steep incline in between 90 to 96. So we are using in between 3 times for basically showing this particular period. But it's better that we are to change different set of phrases for these things, because repetition will cost you marks. So we can use in between 1980 to 1980, let's say in between 1980 to 1985, and in the next we can use for this, we can use from 1986 to 1990, and for the next section we can use within 1990 to 1996. So, and apart from that, yes, you can use the word or lines which we used earlier also, that is in the next or for example in the next 6 years, or in the following 2 years when it is falling drastically. So in the coming 1 year or something like that, you can use that also, right? So this is how we can explain the period in this particular thing. Apart from the period, there are a few more things which you must keep in mind. Like sometimes the data is not exact. Here the data, we are presuming the data is exactly 20 million ton or precisely 20 million ton, and here we are assuming it is precisely 90 million ton. But let's say if we are to calculate or to tell the data about this particular point, and it is somewhere here, or it may be, then we are supposed to say the production at this particular point was approximately or around or about 15 million tons. So here we cannot use the words precisely or exactly, so it was approximately. Yes, one more thing, you are not supposed to write approx. We know that the marks will get deducted if we will use abbreviations in the writing part of IELTS, right? So few more things to remember is that like sometimes the data can be double. This can happen only once you are doing a sort of comparison, because it is very you are not going to get this simple a graph. Sometimes one single line will not be there in a line graph. Generally we get 3 or 4 lines. Like for example, now this is the data for rice which is going on. There may be a line which might be given showing the data for sugar cane. See, I am using the word for sugar cane. This is sugar cane. So in that particular case you can do comparison, right? So for example, now at this particular point, if this particular point it is 40, so you can say, and if it is 20 at this particular point, if it is, say the production is 20, then you can say that in the year 1982 the production of rice was let's say 15 million tons or 20 million ton, and whereas the production, although it is not 20, but I am just presuming it is 20 at this, and it is 40, the production of sugarcane in the 1982 is 40, then you can use this, whereas the production of sugarcane was double as compared to rice. Or the other way you can use, the production of sugarcane was 40 in this particular year, whereas the production of rice was 1/2 or half as compared to the sugarcane, right? I hope you have understood, and is it visible? Let's see. So So this is, and yes, we can use the words of contrast, whereas, while, on the contrary, on the flip side, on the other hand. So words and phrases we can use, and these are generally used only when we are doing a sort of comparison, when there are two lines which are going on. Let's say the sugar cane is also there. So in those particular cases, like for example in this particular scene, you can say that in between 1980 to 86, the production of rice increased gradually. On the contrary, within the same period, the production of sugarcane declined. Now we have used the phrase on the contrary because it was a sort of contrast between two things, right? And so these are the words for contrast. One more thing I would like to add, which is that sometimes there is future data. For example, let's take an example. It is not, let's presume, it is not, you can say, what is called 2002. We are presuming that it is 2022, 2024, 2026, 2028. Now it has, now these are the future years. Now to explain the future data, we can use the words like expected, anticipated, projected, forecasted, estimated, and of course future data we will use will, of course. Also sometimes we can make the sentence without will also. I will let you know how. The sentence or this kind of change can be explained in two ways. Like after 2022, the production is estimated or projected to fall drastically, right? So here we haven't used the word will, but still, since the sentence is correct, and or other way we can explain, if we wish to use the will, we can, it can be observed from the graph that after 2022 the production will fall drastically till 2000. This is what is called 2024. After that there will be a minor incline, or after that a minor incline is projected, followed by a minor or slight decline. So this is how we can basically discuss, or we can interpret the future data in this particular case, right? So this is exactly what is line graph. And finally, of course, one more thing which is very important, that is the trend part. Means there are different trends which can be seen in the graph that must be explained. Let's say if there can be one kind of trend like this. Let's take the sales of CDs. So if we are taking the sales of CDs, and if it is going up like this, then a minor decline, then stable, then going up like this, the minor decline and stable. Ultimately we see that the sales of the CD is inclining year by year. There are years in this side. Then this kind of trend is called an upward. We call it an upward or positive trend. Upward or positive trend. And on the other side there can be another sort of trend which is like this. Here what is happening? Again, let's say the sales of CDs. So in this particular case, what is happening? It is going down, and a little up, constant, then again going down, a little up, then again going down. Now this sort of trend is called negative or downward trends, right? Negative or downward trend. So one more trend which is visible, it may be visible, it is like this. A heartbeat kind of trend, sharp incline, then sharp fall or significant decline, then again we see you can say rapid incline, then again we see a sort of noticeable decline, then again we see a sort of marked incline. So this kind of incline, decline, so we can see in this particular case. So this kind of graph in the trend is called a sort of zigzag kind of trend. We can call it a fluctuating trend. My writing is a bit poor, I hope you know the spellings. Fluctuating trends, zigzag trend, and we can call it as erratic trend also. Right. So this is how we use the trends, and trends can be used in the body, and we can use even, especially we use the trends for basically for concluding the things, or for concluding the line graph. So this is now we are coming to the conclusion part. I will show you how we can use the trends in the body, and even how we can use it in the conclusion part. Conclusion, yes, you can start it with all in all, to sum up, to summarize. It can be deduced that, or it can be inferred that, or it can be concluded that. Then you simply conclude what you have felt or what you have observed in the line graph. For example, in this particular graph, generally students they conclude it like this, that it can be, or you can say that to sum up, it can be inferred from the graph that there was maximum production in the year 1996, whereas the production was minimum in the year 2006. But I would say that there are better methods also to basically conclude the graph. Here we can, for example, you can see there are two trends in this graph. From 80 till 1996, it is on the rise, and after that it is on the fall. So in this particular case, if you wish to do a better conclusion, you can say that to sum up, it can be inferred from the graph that there were two trends in the graph. From 1980 till 1996, the production observed a highly positive trend, and after 1996 it showed a negative trend or downward trend. So this is how you can conclude, and definitely you are going to score better bands in that particular case if you use. Yes, in the, I said you can use trend in the body also. So in that particular case, for example, here you can use after 1990, the production observed a highly positive trend. It jumped sharply from 20 million ton to 90 million ton within just 6 years. Right, and similarly you can use here also that after 96, the production started observing a negative trend. First it was minor negative or slightly negative till from 96 to 2002, and after that it saw a highly negative trend. So this is how you can use the trends in the body also. So you can use trends both in the body and as well as in the conclusion also. So this is what is exactly the line graph, and I hope you have understood, you might have understood how to explain the line graph. So even if you have some problems, you can contact me. In repeating the name of our Excel Academy, it is EXCELSIOR Academy. We are based at Amritsar and in the business of IELTS for the last 10 years. Thank you very much. One thing I would like to add is that if sometimes the students which come to us, they are basically from what is called rural background. So those students who are basically from rural background, so sometimes it is very difficult for them to understand the lecture if it is given entirely in English. In that particular case, we and our teachers use a mixture of English and Punjabi, and I would like to have your opinion that if you really want me to produce one lecture which is a mixture of Punjabi and English or Hindi and English, I would like to do that also for you. Thank you very much.